Hey guys, what's going on? I'm here with the Tom's Guide team, and it is the day after the big Apple event. I know. We're going to take you through some of the biggest announcements of the new Apple devices, but more specifically, we're going to hopefully take you through some of the decisions that you should keep in mind when it comes to actually what you're going to want to buy this year. Specifically when it comes to the iPhone 16 versus the iPhone 16 Pro. But before we get into that, let's check in with everyone. How are we doing?
I'm going to say a little overwhelmed with all the announcements.
Why are you overwhelmed?
Well, I think there was a couple of things that we didn't get that we thought we were going to get, like the iPad Mini 7 and the second generation or third generation Apple Watch SE. But there were still a lot of devices, especially like on the AirPods front. I think the fact that there were two AirPods 4, and we're going to help people figure out which one to get. And when it comes to the iPhones, I think I was really impressed with the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max with the larger displays. But I think as we get into it, we're going to find that the regular iPhone 16 is more pro than ever, which is why we want to help people try to make the best decision for them.
How about you, John?
Yeah, no, I'm a little bit tired after yesterday's big event, but it's always exhilarating. But yeah, like Mark said, there's big surprises that we saw and some stuff that we didn't see. I particularly was hoping to see maybe a cheaper iPhone SE 4, fourth generation iPhone SE. But what they did show was pretty cool and some of the new stuff with it too.
I was personally most shocked that we didn't get the Apple Watch Ultra 3. I was fully convinced. I was ready to get that hands-on session with it, but instead we just got the new satin black color. Did you guys get a chance to check that out?
I didn't, but I was impressed with the Apple Watch 10 design and just like how thin it was on the wrist and the larger display. So I think partially because it's the 10th anniversary of the Apple Watch, that's maybe the reason why that got the sole spotlight.
Any huge surprises, things that you just simply weren't expecting?
Well, I mean, for me, I think the camera control button, and they say don't call it a button because it's not a button. I think how it works, because obviously we saw the rumors heading into the event in terms of the fact that there would be that so-called button there. But in terms of what you could do with it, it's a lot more versatile than I thought it would be. But I also feel like there's a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah, I got to agree with Mark that one because, trying it out first time, it does take a little bit. It has that physical response. Also, the capacitive switching between modes is kind of interesting how they do it. You do that light tap, light hold, and then you scroll around. But for everyone who's going to be seeing the iPhones for the first time, it's going to be, I want to say, a little bit of a shock. It's just different from how a normal, taking photos on your phone goes. It does give creators a little bit more control. I do like you have stuff like the aperture control, the exposure adjustment. You have even the zoom controls right at your fingertips. So as someone who frequently shoots a lot of video, a lot of photos, it's definitely helpful.
We obviously know what a hands-on area after an Apple event is like, but for those who have not been able to experience that firsthand, can you tell me a little bit about what you actually get to do in that area? I know that you each went hands-on with the new iPhone 16 family. Tell me what the energy is like in there. What do you get to do? What do you get to see? Who's helping you? Things like that.
I think initially it's like rugby for nerds. Just like trying to get your hands on the devices themselves and you're jockeying for position. But after that, things calm down a little bit, you wait your turn in line, and then you go hands-on with the devices. And at first, it's about just getting your hands-on impressions, and that's what I tried to do. And get the walkthrough from the people who are there from Apple, because they've all been trained to tell you, here's all the new features, and they walk through, for you. But then it's your chance to go hands-on with it and then explain to people what it's like to go hands-on with the devices for the first time. So I think it's very well organized, but I think there was probably more people than there's ever been in the hands-on area, and I've been coming to lots of iPhone events.
For me, it was a lot of waiting online. There was a lot of waiting. I remember there's one guy in front of me. I was just waiting there for maybe almost close to 10 minutes. I gave up because this guy was taking so long. I'm like, let's get to the point. I wish there was a little bit of a timer. Most people pretty quick, but this one person was just really taking their time. But yeah, like Mark said, a lot of energy, a lot of people. You want to get right to it. You want to get your hands on, get the first impressions. You want to also, get a feel for all the new features because that's going to be, part of the new experience for these devices. And how about you, Kate?
Well, you talked about lines when it comes to the hands-on area. The biggest line that is always in the hands-on area is that to take a selfie with Tim Cook. And I usually do try to make my way into that line. It's just, part of the tradition, I think, of coming here to try. But that was not happening for me. Instead, I actually got to meet Steven Nedorosik, the Olympian, the pommel horse guy, maybe some people know him as.
That's
you guys,
cool.
Have you seen him on TikTok?
Yeah.
Can we take a quick picture?
Of course we can.
Thank you. Yeah, he's going to be on Dancing with the Stars. I was over the moon. That was like my highlight moment of the day yesterday, even though I probably should be saying that about the devices. Those two, though, but he was over by the Apple Watch devices checking them out, which makes a lot of sense because Olympians need to be tracking their fitness and their health, and something like an Apple Watch can certainly come in handy. Then you go look at something like the Apple Watch Ultra, more specifically, that's really like an ultimate sports watch. So I love seeing those things come together.
Yeah, no offense, Tim.
No offense, no offense. Now that we kind of have set the vibe of what it's actually like to come to an Apple event and go to the hands-on area, let's talk more about the new iPhones. Mark, I know that you got to go hands-on with the iPhone 16 Pro and iPhone 16 Pro Max. John, you went hands-on with the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Plus. Tell me about what we need to know about these new phones.
Well, I think it's important to start with like what features the iPhones share, right? So all new iPhone 16 models have an A18 chip inside. So while the chips vary a little bit different, there's the A18 and the A18 Pro. They're all designed, supposedly from the ground up for Apple Intelligence. So even though we learned about a lot of these features at WWDC, Apple reiterated some of them and like saw them like come to life with the new iPhone. So some of the features that they showed off that we went hands-on with are things like the ability to summarize like long notes. So like if I have a long note like this, I could just like auto summarize that, and literally within a couple of seconds you get a summary. So like Apple Intelligence I think is pretty smart there. Or if you have a long email thread, and I get lots of them where I sort of dive in after the fact, you can get that summary real quickly. So, and I think the new Siri, even though it's not going to be coming until next month, I think it has a lot of people excited about like how much better can the assistant get, especially when you're able to tie in things like ChatGPT as a third party.
Those Apple Intelligence updates, those are what blew up on TikTok for us. If you guys haven't checked out at Tom's Guide on TikTok yet, you can see some of the highlights that were showcased in the keynote. And it seems that that's kind of like the underdog of the announcements.
Yeah, so visual intelligence in particular. So a lot of people are saying that, like, derisively calling it like a Google Lens on steroids. But I think it's a good step in the right direction in terms of like, what can you use your camera for when you're not taking pictures? So the ability to get information on a restaurant, let's say, just by pointing your camera at it, or if you see like a concert flyer and you take a photo, not even take a photo, just hold up your camera, you can add that to your calendar. Seeing a dog breed in real time, that sort of thing. So I actually think it opens a lot of like cool possibilities in terms of what a smartphone can do.
John, does that have anything to do with why you're calling the iPhone 16, and I quote, more pro than ever? That's what John titled his hands-on review, which is live at tomsguide.com right now, and also on our YouTube channel. They have a dedicated video with the iPhone 16. So tell me why the iPhone 16 is more pro than ever.
Every year there's always the struggle which iPhone to get. Should you go pro? Should you get the standard? And this year, I feel like the divide between the two series is lessening. So now there's, like I said, in my hands-on, it's more pro than ever before because, to Apple's credit, they brought the same Apple Intelligence features on the 16 Pro to the standard iPhone. So you're going to get those similar features right there. And I guess that's a good thing because you look at the competition, you look at what Samsung has done with Galaxy AI, you look at what Google has done. They made it so it's accessible with the entire lineup. But as far as the other stuff that makes, the iPhone 16 series, the standard ones, more pro this year, is because it gets also the camera control and has also the A18 chip. But yeah, it just feels like it's more pro than ever. And given the price differences, it makes it a little bit tougher. You're looking at, what, $799, $899 for the iPhone 16 and 16 Plus. And then for $100 more, you do get the iPhone 16 Pro, which, I don't know. It's a tough one because I'm not sure how you feel about this, Mark and Kate, but the 16 Pro might be the iPhone to go with because you look at the 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max, ask yourself, $200 difference between the two phones. What are you really getting? Bigger screen, yes. Probably longer battery life, yes. But what else? There anything more?
There's a couple of things. So one is the fact that you're still getting a true telephoto zoom on the iPhone 16 Pro, and the fact that you're getting the 5x tetraprism zoom that came over from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. So there's finally like parity between the iPhone 16 Pro and the Pro Max. The other like pro feature, although I think this is probably more of a niche thing, is like the ProMotion display. So the fact that you have a 120 hertz display on both the Pro and Pro Max, and the regular iPhone 16 series is still stuck at 60 hertz, which I think you could argue that it's no longer a pro feature, given the fact that you can get 120 hertz on lots of Android phones under, let's say, like $700 or so. So those are a couple of things that stand out. But overall, I kind of agree with you. I think if you want like the best value in terms of a new iPhone, I would say the regular iPhone 16. But I don't think you can ignore that you're getting the larger display. So it's not a huge difference between 6.1 and 6.3 inches. But when you go up to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's 6.9 inches. And the fact that it has like a narrower like bezel around it, you're actually not getting that much of a penalty in terms of getting the largest iPhone ever.
Do you guys think this is a good thing? Do you think that Apple should have made more differences between the standard and Pro models?
I would say yes. You know, when you get a Pro model, you're expecting bigger features. You know, we expect better performance, better battery life, brighter display, yes. But I feel like, especially the Apple Intelligence features, I know, like I said earlier, it's great that they've kept it uniform between all the devices, but when you're paying a lot more between the two series, you just want to get just something extra special. The telephoto lens, yes, that's the biggest differentiator, I think. The ProMotion display, absolutely. But besides that, it's I just wish there was a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm not in marketing, but if I was going to pick one feature that I would withhold for the Pro models, it would probably be the camera control. Because it's something that I don't think you necessarily need on the regular iPhone 16, and you were just saying like how it's really good for creators. So I feel like it's a nice to have feature for the regular iPhone 16 buyers, but I think it would have been a nice thing to brag about if you had an iPhone 16 Pro or Pro Max.
Well, looking back to last year with the iPhone 15 launch, only the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max got the action button. I know that was something that came into play when I was deciding which phone I was going to get, because the ability to have a dedicated button to launch a new feature, have something that's there for convenience, was a huge selling point. And I kind of was expecting that I would have something in that regard for the new iPhone 16 Pro as well. So I'm quite surprised.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's good news for consumers. So, like, we put together a story on tomsguide.com about, like, the difference. So, iPhone 16 versus iPhone 16 Pro, which new iPhone should you get? And we break down, like, here's all the similarities, here's what's the same, and then here's what's different, including all the specs. And one of the things that's actually on there that's worth talking about is battery life. So Apple is saying that the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max are going to have like larger batteries, and because of some of the efficiencies, both within the display technology and the A18 Pro chip, they're saying that the iPhone 16 Pro Max in particular is going to have the longest battery life of any phone. At Tom's Guide, we actually do a battery test on every phone that we review, and we do a battery rundown over 5G to see like how long it lasts on a charge. And even though the last iPhone 15 Pro series was good, I would say the Android competition has surpassed the iPhone, especially with the Galaxy S25 Ultra or 24 Ultra. And the Pixel, even the Pixel 9 Pro series has gotten a lot better. So I feel like Apple needs to catch up a little bit there. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, no, the one phone that really stands out is the OnePlus 12. That thing is, I think, ranked second all time on our list as the longest lasting battery life. And also, speaking of battery life, the recharge time too. That phone just gets to 100% in under, I want to say under 30 minutes, which is just incredible for a device like that. So yeah, Apple definitely needs to catch up in the battery life department.
Yeah.
John, correct me if I'm wrong. You did a video earlier this year about our phone battery life tests and compared some of the most competitive models on the market, right?
Yep.
Do you think that you might want to do that again? Let us know in the comments if that's something you'd want to see with maybe the iPhone 16 Pro with maybe the whole family, and maybe compared to some of the other flagships that came out this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I'm going to definitely look at. You look at some of the other devices on the horizon, towards next year. But Apple's wrapping up this pretty much 2024 as far as what new phones we're going to be expecting, and hopefully it does exceed more than an hour compared to last year. But yeah, there's still just some catching up to do.
Okay, so we talked about battery life as a key spec. Let's run through some of the other kind of key factors someone might consider when buying a new phone. We touched on cameras, but can you guys clarify a bit more about what the actual camera spec differences are between the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro?
Let me know if I get this right. So with the regular iPhone 16, you're still getting the 48 megapixel main camera. which is very powerful. And you get the equivalent of a 2x optical zoom, but I think it's a 12 megapixel ultra wide. So the big difference in terms of the ultra wide between the regular iPhone 16 and the 16 Pro series is a 48 megapixel ultra wide. So not only are you getting sharper ultra wide images at wide angle images, it's also used for macro photography. And we saw some samples up close, and of course these are like professionally shot, but they looked really amazing in terms of like some of the close-ups that I saw, especially one of a flower. So those are the types of things that we're excited to test when we do that camera face-off versus other phones. John's going to be going out taking the iPhone 16 Pro versus the Pixel 9 Pro and the Galaxy S24, and I'm excited to see how much better are the macro shots this time around.
What kind of things are you going to be looking for in those photos?
For me, every year, the biggest one's going to probably be how they perform in low light, because I want to say every phone, just about every flagship phone, could take excellent photos in perfect conditions, no matter what. Whether it's an Android or an iPhone, they take great photos when the conditions are right. But the biggest difference I see is probably usually in the low light department, especially when there's like no ambient light whatsoever, pitch black. They all have their respective night modes. The reason why I specifically mentioned that is because it shows how much the sensor is able to absorb light, and of course all the image processing algorithms that's going in the background to really bring out those details that you can't see in the dark. So low light's always, for me, the bar that sets the difference between good and bad.
I've been looking for that too, and I think to a certain degree, the low light performance has gotten so good that like a lot of the images look fake. So I think striking that balance between something that is bright and inviting and something that looks natural is like that really holy grail for low light photography.
Speaking about bright and inviting, did you guys get to check out the iPhone 16 colors?
I did.
Yeah, good segue, because I'm looking in the background here, and you see the Glowtime logo. And I asked Google Gemini what it thinks about the logo that Apple sent out in the invites, and yes, the colors of the new iPhone 16, not the 16 Pro series, but the regular 16, they're bright, they're vibrant, and I really love the colors. I'm not sure how you guys feel about that.
I mean, I personally like the ultramarine just because it like pops. It's like the best like blue that I'm a sucker for blue, obviously. But I think if you're getting a new iPhone, you want something that looks new. And this is something that I think has a lot of energy behind it. And I think a lot of people were taking photos of that one in particular for a reason.
Yeah, can vouch for that as well. Ultramarine is the hot color that's also on social. Although I will say the hot pink color, I posted a TikTok. It got like over 1 million views overnight, just showing off that phone. People still love pink tech, and I think it's nice that it's like a really bold, statement-making, Barbie-like pink versus maybe some more of like the pastel colors we've seen in the past. Mm-hmm. How about the colors for the Pro Max? What do you think of those? Or Pro and Pro Max, I should say.
I think the Desert Titanium is the one that stands out because that's the one that's new, and I think it's more subtle than some of like the renders and like the dummy units that were out there before, which I think is a good thing. It's pretty close to a rose gold, but not quite there. So it's probably the one that I might get, although I think there's something like really clean about the white one. The natural titanium, which I have here, I think was a really good statement color for the iPhone 15 Pro Max because it kind of looks like titanium all the way around.
Agreed.
But now that we're sort of into the second generation of titanium, I think it's good to experiment, and I think Desert Titanium is a good look, and we'll have to see like how many people like it.
It's wild. This might be the first year in at least 6 or 7 years that I expect I'm going to go for the non-statement color of the iPhone, the largest iPhone that there is. I've always gone for, if it's a blue, or remember that green color?
One, yeah,
that
13.
was amazing. And I also have the natural titanium of the 15 Pro Max, but I think I'm going to go with the white titanium this year.
Yeah, I mean, the black one looks really cool too, but it's like up close, but then like further away, it's kind of plain. So I would probably go for the Desert Titanium. I don't know, which one would you go for?
Since I take a lot of photos of the phones, for me, it's probably going to be white. It's the best contrast.
Really?
So, or maybe the Desert Titanium. It's a neutral color. It's not, too dark. It has a nice contrast to it, especially if you're putting against something, lighter, or, darker countertop. So for me, making a phone look good on a photo, it's better probably with the white one.
I don't know how much you guys follow color news. I happen to be really locked into like the Pantone color of the year. And it does seem in a way that Desert Titanium is supposed to reflect the peach fuzz Pantone color of the year. We saw that materialize in a lot of tech products this year. Motorola did the Razr in peach fuzz. Mm-hmm. And also I checked out one of the new AirPods Max colors, and it was giving peach fuzz, that like orangey color. It was cute, and a lot of people online seem to be into it.
So is that the one that you would? So if you were going to match your new iPhone with AirPods Max, which one would you get?
Maybe. I don't think it's a perfect match. I would have to look at both side by side, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to do that in the coming weeks. But that would be nice. I like the idea of kind of having a matching suite of products. Bring it right down to the Apple Watch man too, right? The rose gold Apple Watch Series 10. That's the way to go this year.
Match.
Yeah, a lot of new colors for pretty much the AirPod Max and also the Apple Watch 10.
Although I would like to see colors for the regular AirPods. I know white is iconic, but give us a little bit of choice.
Okay, so we wanted to make this video to help you decide between getting the iPhone 16 and iPhone 16 Pro from people who are perhaps going to be buying these phones when they're available on September 20th. We're going to go down the line and see which phone each of us are getting. We're going to start with you, John. Which iPhone you buying?
As much as I said the iPhone 16 is very pro-like, I think this year it's going to be the 16 Pro for me. As someone who shoots a lot of video, I like the fact that there's 4K 120 frames per second capture. So you could just shoot in that mode, and then later on you have a lot of flexibility in slowing down the footage, get those epic slowdown moments. And yeah, for those really fun, active activities, jet skiing in the Hudson, that'd be perfect for that. So price point's the same, $999, and has the same telephoto lens as the 16 Pro Max.
I'm surprised to hear that because you're usually the top advocate for the budget entry-level phone.
Yes, yeah. You know, you're paying $200 difference this time between the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro. And it's just that telephoto lens. It just definitely helps out, you know, your suite of cameras. So being able to have near, far, very close in just one camera system, it just helps it out.
How about you, Mark?
I would say probably the iPhone 16 Pro Max for two reasons. One is I like the idea of having the largest display on an iPhone, and I think the other is just having the longest battery life. I know that there's like battery cases and chargers out there, but I really need that extra endurance, especially when we're running around, you know, tech shows like this and CES. So like the endurance in every second counts. So I'd probably get it for that reason. But for a lot of people, I think the regular iPhone 16 Pro, because you're getting that telephoto zoom, might be like the best value of the bunch in terms of like if you're going to be holding onto your phone for 3 or 4 years, and you're getting like what is now a mid-size iPhone instead of a small one.
I agree. Which one do you think I'd get?
I think given your, go ahead, you go.
16 Pro Max.
Yeah, you guys know me so well. Yeah, I'm with you. Just there's so much that these phones are able to do now. I do a lot of content creation, so that's happening all on my phone. I want that biggest display possible. I want the longest battery life. I want the best performance and best camera, so I'm gonna go with Pro Max. The big question is gonna be which color I get. So let me know which one you think I should go for. Maybe I'll put a poll up on Instagram and let the fans decide for me. Thank you guys so much for taking some time this morning to talk about the Apple event and the iPhone 16 family, as well as some of the other announcements that came up. Hands-on reviews of all of the devices from yesterday are currently live on tomsguide.com. You can also check out our hands-on videos from the hands-on area after the Apple event. They're on this channel right now, so be sure to check them out. Let us know in the comments what you want to see from these devices. We're going to be reviewing them in the coming weeks. Going to do a lot of follow-up content, a lot of our great photo features, battery life testing, all that good stuff that we talked about. So be sure to let us know what specifically you would like to see. Otherwise, everything from the event is on Tom's Guide socials at Tom's Guide everywhere. And that's it from us. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.